What I'm going to look at today is the method of lifting the arms up into this position here. So this is a standing Qigong, Zhan Zhuang, standing like a pole, standing like a tree. And although you have the legs bent, so it's really like sitting, in fact, but it's always called standing Qigong. Um, and how do you get your arms into the right place here? So what people tend to do is they tend to lift the arms up, pull the arm forwards, thereby over closing the chest and separating the shoulder blades on the back, over separating them. So what we need to do is we need to lift the arm up without pulling it too forwards of the body. Well, not without pulling it forwards of the body, full stop. So what we have, so if that is my right shoulder blade, yeah, and my right top of the humerus here, this is the top of my arm bone. So that would be, if I've got my back to you, that will be there. And the head of it is there. So if I've got, so here's my back and here's my front, okay? Now, we have a ball and socket joint in here. You can't see it terribly clearly, but you don't need to get, you just get the idea. And you can see that this is here, this is the head of your humerus. You have one on this side, you have one on this side. And what happens is when you move the arm, when you just do this or sideways, all that happens is this ball here rotates within the socket. It's very inflexible. And hopefully you haven't got these bits of metal in you. So when you've got this rotation, which I can't do on this device. But basically, that all that happens is if that is it there, it rotates within the socket like this. But what people tend to do is two things. When they lift their arms up, they tend to also lift the whole shoulder up here. They lift the shoulder blade up. So this is my clavicle. This is my collarbone at the front. So there I am. Okay. And when you lift the arm, people tend to do this. And the shoulder blade itself starts to lift as well. Now, you don't need to do that until you get to about 90 degrees. It's actually slightly under 90 degrees. But once the arm reaches 90 degrees or slightly less, then if there's my back, when I lift that arm up to about here, if I carry on lifting it, this is actually going to rotate. And it not only rotates, it rotates and slides around the body slightly. So what I'm interested in doing here is you're practicing lifting your arm up either sideways, so that's the easier one, yeah, because sideways is not such an intention to bring the shoulder forward, if any intention. So let's just use both arms for you. Okay, I'm going to just use one hand, but use both. So there's the head of the humerus going into this socket here and here, goes in like that. Okay, so you're just going to lift your arms up sideways and you're going to let this sink here. Now, I haven't gone too much sideways. Look, when I lift, I've gone slightly forwards, not sideways. If you go sideways, it starts to affect things a little differently, but we don't actually want that for this. And in Tai Chi, when we do the first move of the form, you have it there as well, but this is a forwards version. So when you come sideways, this should feel like it all settles. And in fact, there should even be a hole here. In fact, there are two holes, but there's one on the top, bang on the joint. So when I stick my fingers into, that's where I'm sticking my fingers, into there. So you can see there's this tendon here and there's this tendon here. Well, actually, I think they're ligaments to be absolutely accurate. But what I'm doing is there are a couple of tendons which come down to here, and this is a muscle called your deltoid muscle. And you can easily feel this on yourself. It's quite wide to start off with, and it comes down to a kind of point here. Now, that deltoid has got two tendons which, from the shoulder, attach to it. So when you lift your arm up sideways, let me just do that. When you lift your arm up sideways, what happens is those tendons actually do that. And you've got a hole in the middle of them. So if I get that finger out of the way for a second, there's the tendons. As I lift sideways, okay, so now bang in the middle between them, a hole appears. And the more you can relax your shoulder when you do that, the better, both sides. So you lift and you relax the shoulders and they don't lift at all. Now, as soon as I start to go higher, okay, my shoulder blades are now rotating. Yeah, and other muscles are coming into play. So We're not bothered about those ones. We're interested in the approximately to 90 degrees. Yeah, it's a little, as I say, a little bit lower. So when you lift your arms up, we've now got the forward version. Now, this means you're going to want to pull your arm and shoulder and open your back more. Try and avoid it. So you're now going to the beginning of the Tai Chi form, which is just lift your hands, but you're not going to pull the chest. You're not going to pull the shoulders together at the front. Rotate the ball in the sockets. Up you go. And your shoulders should again feel like they're settling. And in fact, I've got that hole appeared in here again. Not quite as clear as when it's out the side. That is super clear. You know, you can see the end of my fingers gone significantly into my body there. Whereas when I come forward, it's actually being slightly pushed out because of the bend of the curvature of the muscles. So when you lift up here, drop your shoulders and you're there. That's the first move of the form, but it could also be the Qigong position. Or we can go out slightly and then bring them in. So it doesn't matter the method you use. You could lift straight up, you can go slightly out and then bring in. I think there's a slight advantage. It's not a method I normally use, but like doing it now, I can feel that there is a very slight advantage to going sideways and then coming in, because this settles a little bit more on the sideways one. What's most important is you don't pull the whole shoulder girdle forwards when you lift the arms up. So off we go. We're just going to do the hands. So sideways or directly forwards, I don't mind, doesn't matter, it's up to you. So you drop your shoulders and you just come out and then in if you've done that version, and your fingers open and we're there. Now, this suddenly feels though I'm not very far away from my body. You know, I feel like I should be out here. No, don't try and be out there. Just get to wherever is super comfortable. Yeah, it's got to be really, really comfortable for you, because in theory, well, not today, but in theory, you hold that position for quite a long time. So once again, arms by your sides, shoulders relax, neck relaxes. Okay, and then you lift sideways. And then you bring it in. Okay, now then, the elbows are not too sunk. You don't want them too sunk like this. This is, you do see people do it like this, and of course you can, but actually when you do this, this settles better. So I suppose you could argue that the end of your elbow here, well, not the end of it, your elbow lines up kind of with the base of your scapula here. And if you put your hand around your back, and I've lifted one arm up, I can feel the bottom pointy bit of the scapula. And I know it's roughly speaking aligned with my elbow. So what we're doing is you can see the pointy bit there, the bottom of your scapula. Yeah. And you need the elbow, roughly speaking, level with that when you lift up. It's all just to do with alignments, and it just works a little bit better. Having said that, you do sometimes see people doing this version, but then there are loads of other Qigong positions. You know, we have hands right up here, and hands out here. So there are lots and lots of other positions, of which that is I've hardly scraped the surface on it. So when we lift the arms up, the next thing is you do not want to engage your neck. So I'm going to get you to just think about your neck when you lift up. First of all, notice what you normally do. Okay, so don't think about your neck. You're going to have, of course, now I've mentioned it, you're going to want to, but observe your neck. So you drop your shoulders and you rotate the heads of the humerus. Now just notice your neck. What are you doing with it? Are you engaging it at all? And probably you're now disengaging it deliberately, but that's fine, because that's actually what you need to do. Yeah. Notice my hands have got a gap between them. My neck's disengaged. I haven't used it. Now, when I disengage the neck, it has a number of effects. Because this here, this is your trapezius, and it leads down to your shoulder joint. So when you disengage the neck, you stop wanting to lift this up. Because once you start lifting up here, this goes tense on your back of your neck. Your neck's come into play far too much and you need to let go. So here we go again. We're going to just drop the shoulders initially. Now, the head of the humerus is rotating within the socket, and you can come up, disengage your neck, consciously let go. Feel, in fact, as though your shoulders are falling away from your head. The shoulders are going down to meet the earth, and the head is going up to meet the heavens, or whatever you want, however you want to see it, the sky. Yeah. So we have the arms in the correct position, unless you've gone and overextended, in which case, so stay there where you are for a second. If you've gone out of it, come back into it. What I want you to do is I want you to deliberately extend your backs of your hands towards your screen. And I want you to notice what happens to your shoulder blades when you do that. So from here, you push the hands forwards, and you can feel your spine between the shoulder blades going a little bit tense, and it's starting to overwork. Now, relax, you can bring your hands down. We do, though, want this feeling of pung in the body. Now, pung is this feeling of expansion, forwards and backwards. You'll find there's also pung coming internally as well. A sort of, it's not pung, but it's a variation on it. So when you're here in this position, so start again, don't overextend, just rotate the balls of the humerus in the sockets, yeah, and you're there. Just imagine someone's grabbed hold of your wrists here and here, and they're pushing you, and you're not trying to push them backwards. You're merely feeling that part of your body. And now imagine someone's on your back, on your spine, and they're pushing you forwards. They're trying to push you towards your screen. Yeah. So don't let them. Okay, notice we're not doing anything. We're not using any muscles here. In a sense, the muscles are, you can relax. The muscles are not, they're not being triggered at all, because a muscle, when it's triggered, shortens. So if you want to push back, you're probably with your back. Say someone's got their hands on my back. If I want to push back, I'm probably going to try and lean back, or I'm going to try and pull my chest in to push my spine backwards. All of these are creating tension. We want totally the opposite. So pung has been described as this concept of P-E-N-G, pung. It's been described as muscular extension. Well, it's okay. I like it. The expressions, I get it. But the trouble is, muscular extension implies that you do something like outwards here, you know, that. And it's true, there is that outwards feeling, but that implies you do something like that. Now, to do that, in order for my body to be able to put my hand over there, I had to tighten the muscles on the back of my arm to get the hand out there. Yeah, these ones went soft because they have to go soft because these ones are tightening. Otherwise, if they're both tightened, it's very difficult to do, and it starts to become a shoulder movement only. So we do want muscular extension, but that means relax. Muscular extension, that means you cannot use muscles to do the job. It's a complete relaxation. So here we go. We're just going to do the upper body, and we're going to feel pung forwards and backwards. We're going to stay there for a minute or two, and then we're moving on. Okay, so drop shoulders. Okay, so head of the humerus, rotate it within the socket. Don't try and lift your hands forward at all, and then you get to here. We've got straight legs, we're standing. Yeah. Okay, if you didn't disengage your neck when you did that, bring your hands back again and do it again. So if you did, leave them there. So from here, now start disengaging the neck immediately. So the elbows, you do see sometimes people have the elbows up here, and that's fine. This is also okay, it's just another position. It's just slightly harder because the shoulder wants to lift a little bit more. So wherever's good for you. Okay, someone is, you need muscular extension here. So what you do is, you just feel like someone's pushing your wrists, and you relax the backs of your wrists and your hands and your arms generally, and that will create a muscular extension. Now, your back Relax your back between your shoulder blades. Just let go. If you feel something softening between your shoulder blades, you're basically doing muscular extension. So we have a feeling of pushing backwards with the back, between our shoulder blades, but we're not doing it. It's almost conceptual. And then on the wrists, we have the feeling of pushing forwards towards the screen. Again, conceptual. Now, keep there. The fingers, open your fingers. Open them. Because what we want to do is we want to open this point in the hand. So you don't do this. That's no good. Look, it's gone tense. This is all hypered now. It's gone tense. This is overstretched. So what I don't want is a collapse. I want nice open palms, and I feel as though the bones in my fingers, there's 4 bones there and 1 on the thumb. I feel as though the bones are doing that internally inside my hand. Again, it's a muscular extension. But you can't do it because the muscles are only designed in your palm to do that, to come together. So the only way that you can muscularly extend is by letting go. And you feel as though the palms are getting wider and wider and wider and wider. Good. And come down to here. Slowly, very, very slowly always. And again, look at the angle of the arms. I'm not miles out here. That's pulled my shoulders forward. I need to settle the bone into the socket, and it's just down here. And again, palms are open. Notice the wrists. They're not like this. They're not straight. They are as though the bottom quarter of the circle, or the bottom eighth, or whatever it is of the circle there, is missing. Yeah. So this is the sort of storing position, if you like, in the dantian. Again, check your neck. What are your shoulder blades doing? Have you lifted them at all? You don't need to, they can just be settled. You may get buzzing going on in your hands, tingling, warmth, fizzy sort of feeling, sometimes extreme cold when you first begin. And the more you can feel like your palms are widening, now widen the bones in your feet as well. Feel like your feet are spreading across the floor, left and right, left to right, wider. And the bones in your palms are also widening. Now relax your bum. Now relax the pelvis, the sacrum, that's in the middle, that's the bone in the part of your spine. Let it all relax down there, just below your kidneys, lumbar area. And lower your hands.